Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to another weekly market recap right here at Wealth Time, where we build and protect wealth with me, Norbert PM. And these are the topics, the main drivers for the last week. We have indexes, main indices up once more, giving it a little bit back on Friday. So we have the S&P 500 ending the week in barely positive position, 0.01% at 6,715. Then we had the Nasdaq also tried to end it in a positive way, but then it gave it all back on Friday, ending in a negative 0.43%. Dow Jones ending in positive, really pushed it up there, but gave it a little bit back on the last session of the week with still a green 0.51%. Of course, this semiconductor names captured the leadership and the defensive ones lagged under the pressure from rising yields and a market rotation. Now in the small caps, the Russell 2000 showed strength and was a little bit of breadth. The breadth was widening on the Russell 2000. Let's just see how this evolves into the next week. So main narrative for the last week was a little bit of AI push here from Nvidia. The AI speculative leverage rebooted with headlines from Nvidia around a 100 billion OpenAI push once more. Plus Intel, and we're going to come back to this, Intel's continuous surge gave it a little bit back here on Friday, but it had two great days here on Wednesday and on Tuesday, and on Friday giving it just a tinge back. Nvidia still, Intel, still pushing up there. Who would have thought? The last boy of the chip manufacturers, just take a look at this diagram, came back, pushed up, but how long is this sustainable? Because Intel isn't that great of a company. Don't forget that. Okay, also the 10-year yield had a couple of good green days and then it gave it back on Friday, still ending here above its Monday session at least, because on Tuesday it had a major drop down, the 10-year yield, and then it started to crawl back here, currently hitting the head on the 100-day moving average. This is a 1-year chart. Wait. Is this? No, this is the 1-year chart. That was the 5-year. So on the 5-year, on the weeklies, we can see it's hitting there the 100-day moving average. But on the 1-year, it's clearly showing. Let's just draw a couple of trend lines here. A downtrend, which is good. This is actually good for the markets. But if this continues, then it's probably heading for a recession. Now, this does not mean this is going to happen next week or next month, but this is nearing. Now we're going to come back to this little fella because we had, again, major news on EA. Mergers and acquisition are getting back in there, and EA is one of them. Being bought up by the Saudis and being dragged now to the private markets, which, well, let's take a long look here. Let's take an all-time for EA. It just means that they're going to flush out some bad blood and maybe bring it back then to the market with even better opportunities for us to invest. Now, last but not least, I also want to take a quick look here at the VIX, because this little fellow, I'm going to go to here to the 1-year chart, let's have the right scale. This little fellow is trying to tell us something. RSI constantly growing, but not spiking here. Its relative strength is growing, positive divergence, not a negative divergence, and it's really trying to break out here. Now, this is not a good sign because if you take a look at these little fellas right here, these are major spikes in the RSI, which also these two little fellas right here, which if they happen, then prepare yourselves for a big pullback in the market. Not a recession, just a pullback in the market, which I myself must say I can hardly await it. I have some cash put to the side exactly for that surge of the RSI. Now, how long can this continue? I don't know. I just don't know. But I must say, this is the quiet before the storm. Okay, so macro and policy developments, inflation and service software. And services soften, not software. Services did soften with the PCE, which was the week before, came in, the PCE index came in at 2.7 year to year, and the core PCE came in at 2.9, which is still above the Fed's ideal rate, which is at 2. Now, the ISM non-manufacturing services PMI came in at 49.1, forecasted was 49, and the prior was 48.7, which is not which was not a big surprise in the market. So it was in the expected move. But with the government shutdown, we did not get that jobs report, which we may get next week and which may surprise the markets. But some data shows that 32,000 net jobs lost in September. So I can hardly wait for the data to actually come out. We're going to see how the market actually behaves then. So the shutdown risk and the data gap, which basically brought to the federal shutdown fears in the market, and basically it has halted key data releases. So which includes the non-farm payrolls, hopefully going to come in here next week. But next week we're also going to get the FOMC minutes and the Michigan consumer sentiment. So not that big of not that eventful week next week, but who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen to this market. It's just a small tinge and the market could just crumble. On the geopolitical side, rare earth minerals are once more in the spotlight here, which just gave a major boost here on the 3rd of October, the 2nd of October. And also on the 3rd, I gave it a little bit back to USA Rare Earths Company Incorporated here. Just look at this spike in this company. Just incredible. Now, should you invest right here? I would caution you to think twice because at these spikes, most probably a slowdown or retraction is needed for this to cool down. Now, also tariff dynamic remain a drag on the sentiment, particularly in sectors tied to imports like furniture, pharma, trucking, and supply chains. Okay, so let's just jump back to Nvidia, because in the corporate and, well, actually the stock spotlight was Nvidia once more, with Intel right here as the flashpoint duo. Because Nvidia announced a roughly 100 billion investment push into OpenAI infrastructure, which just reignited the sector rally. And this rally is around the AI scale and compute arms race. Now, on the other hand, Intel here has continued to rise 2 days in a row, which just rode the momentum that it had from the 5 billion Nvidia stake in it. Now, new reports surfaced about Intel in deliberation with, who would have thought, Apple and TSMC, so Apple ticker symbol AAPL and TSMC ticker symbol TSM, on strategic collaboration or supply deals. Meanwhile, Apple still tried to push harder here towards the upside. It's kind of capped, and I do expect that it's going to go once more higher, because it's just sitting at its last all-time high. So new all-time highs are waited for Apple, and also their earnings is coming up. So this is going to be interesting for Apple. TSM, on the other way, is up there in the nose-bleeding sector of the market. So also with its earnings coming up on Tuesday, 16th of October. Be really, really careful here with TSM. Could this explode even higher? Well, it could, but the probabilities are to the downside. With just, not that the company is going to go bankrupt, just a really healthy pullback, which is needed for TSM. Just take a look at Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing, how high this company just rode in the last couple of months. Now, I already mentioned that Electronic Arts, ticker symbol EA. We have here a 1-year chart. You know what? Actually, let's take a look back here at the all time. So they started back here in, let's just say, 89, becoming a publicly traded company. Had a really good run into 2005. Then a major correction in 2008. Who didn't have that? And since then, a big ride from 2017. So 2012 was their bottom, at a major run up here till 2018, a correction, rode up again, a little bit of sideways action, and then on the latest news, which was that EA ticker symbol, Electronic Arts ticker symbol EA, the producer of Call of Duty, leaps 15% on confirmation of a 55 billion leverage buyout backed by the Silver, Lake Saudi and Saudi PIF, and also a couple of other companies. Now, this was one of the largest LBOs in history, energizing the M&A market, the merger and acquisition narratives, especially in tech, and gaming. So good job for all of you EA holders. We had a great run and now it's done. But hey, best greatest dream of all investor, grab a company, hold it for years, got bought out, got paid, next company. Also, Costco had its earnings, came in okay with its earnings, but the company is just in a downtrend here. It is almost oversold on an RSI, still not quite there yet, but actually in a downtrend. So full disclosure, I'm invested in Costco. I don't know where this is going to head. Is this the bottom? Is this going to jump? Because Costco is a great company. Costco is not going to go bankrupt, but a little bit of pain is maybe for long-term shareholders is to expect. So Costco posted the Q4 results with slightly weaker comps than expected. The stock plunged roughly 3%, I believe, here from this to this. Yeah, roughly 3%. And despite the dip, Costco, for me at least, remains a long-term favorite holding. And yeah, I would say keep an eye on Costco. If you want to put some money to work, this may be a good possibility to do so. Maybe wait even more, but just dip your toes maybe a little bit in it. Not financial advice as always. I also want to talk about ASML. ASML still up there, had another push to the upwards on Wednesday. Pretty good push here. Already got out of ASML right around here. Okay, this didn't work. So somewhere around here, got out of ASML. I think this is frozen. Just refresh this. Yep, I drew a couple of lines. Got out of ASML around here. It still got up there. Just take a look at this little fellow. Now it's up at a 61.8% Fibonacci extension. So it's not at its old all-time highs. It could push into a new all-time high. So if it holds here, if it has a pullback, I may almost consider reinvesting into ASML, because it means that this little puppy will push back, will push up here to the 127th mark at the Fibonacci extension, which would mean from here a doubling of the stock. Now remember, ASML is the sole manufacturer, I believe, of lithography machines. Those are the machines that build the chips. And if this company is not an investment for the next 10-20 years, I don't know which one is. Okay, now trades, as always, trades for the last week. We are finishing up here the month of September, which currently sits at 2,874 profits, net profits that is, and in dollars. Now we got a net interest on the on our cash investments. So interest received, this was on the 1st of October, a 30 euro. Nicely done. Also going to reveal here one of my investments, which is Western, not digital, but it's Union. Ticker symbol WU, yield a cash dividend also on the 1st of October of around 35 euros. Oh wait, this was actually 37. There we go. Also sold a little bit prematurely my oil position, and this was a short position, short on oil, a WTI short, also on the 1st of October with a small 31.86 gross income there. Now I did a small trade on Freeport McMoran, ticker symbol FCX, on the 2nd of October, yielding in a 99.15, and on its small pullback from Occidental Petroleum, ticker symbol XY, did a small trade on Friday, closing up the position. Should have closed it on Friday in the morning, actually. I closed it too late, so only 13.15 euros there. And that's pretty much it. Not that many trades here. September closed up at $2,874 net profit. This is after taxes, everything. And we are looking for a positive September, so for a positive first week of October, I'm sorry. September of $182.12 So good start for the month of October. Sadly, underneath our threshold. As usual, I want to have 500 per week, but didn't quite manage it for this week. No worries, there are a lot of weeks ahead of us. The threshold for the month is 2,000. Let's see if we manage it for this month. September we did it. August we did not do it. July we didn't do it. So June didn't do it. May kind of went sideways. April also. So the major months were January, February, and September for now, where we hit our $2,000 net profit threshold. Okay, That's it for me. Catch you next week. Stay safe out there. I'm Norbert. This is Wealth Done. Bye bye.